Morning, guys. One more time. I hope you were in lecture today. So, if we are not, we don't know each other. If we don't know each other, my name is Jibek. Um, can I have the name of leader of the GM5? When the organizer sent you the schedule, when you got it. So, which day of the week it was? Okay, for example, sir, I have put it there. Mhm. Farzana Nasir, can you tell me when you got the schedule?
Ma'am, I got the schedule yesterday.
Uh-huh. And was yesterday at
Today is the
what
first
time?
lecture. Today we will have the first practice.
Mhm. Okay. And at what time you got the schedule?
In the evening, ma'am.
In the evening. Mhm.
Ma'am, at 8:38, at 8:34, we will got it.
Mhm. And is there any students that prepared some notes and is ready for the practice class? Is there any student?
Ma'am, your lecture notes.
No lecture notes for by yourself. In maybe yesterday, when you got the schedule, you sit it and read it.
No,
Have
ma'am,
written the.
we just got the schedule about your lecture. We don't got the schedule about which topic you have to discuss with us.
Okay.
We just got a schedule in which we only include the whose lecture, whose practice, just the name of lecture and practice class, not who which the topic we that discuss teacher will discuss with us.
Uh-huh.
If
And
we don't know, then then how we will prepare our set notes before lecture? Yes, ma'am.
uh-huh. Yes. I just want to know the exact information about the schedule and yes, maybe.
Yes, ma'am. Today is our first practice class, and hope we will in the next practice you will told us about the topic name, and we will prepare for the next practice class. Today we will only discuss and some communications about like today lecture.
Mhm.
80.
And what about the systems? Do you know? Do you have these topics of the systems? For example, after the endocrine system, maybe in the normal physiology, there go musculoskeletal, and then after the urinary system.
Don't know, ma'am.
Mm, okay. And here are one more student, Muhammad Hisham. Yes. Um, so, the first practice class after the lecture, and let's repeat then the lecture. Maybe there you will get more information and more knowledge. And so now then we are going to repeat the lecture because the students are you didn't know the topic and the schedule was sent yesterday. Yes. Okay, but next time I will write in Moodle the topics, which topic after which topic comes, and please look at the Moodle and um, be prepared for the next class, practice class, AM5.
Okay, ma'am. I'm the group leader of this group, and you will send me your contact number. I will contact with you before practice class. and you will tell me about the topic name, and we will prepare for our practice class.
Okay, Farzana Nasir.
Yes, ma'am. You will send me your contact number. I will add, and if you want, we will make a group leader groups of fifth semester. And if you want,
Uh, uh-huh.
ma'am,
Okay.
because all teachers make a group with all group leaders of all groups. Because fifth semester have 5 groups, and each group have a group leader.
Uh-huh.
Teacher give information, every information to group leader, and group leader inform to groups.
Okay.
And then as you wish, we will make the group or not.
Okay, Farzana Nasir, you can take my number from curators, so from organizers, yes, or I don't want to write here, so that's why maybe you will take my number from the organizers, okay?
You will say, give me your number in the chat now?
In chat, okay, but other students, please don't write me, okay? Farzana Nasir will,
You will text me in privately chat.
so, okay. So now, hmm, okay, Farzana, I have sent it to you, and mm, okay, great. Mm, as I said before in lecture, so musculoskeletal system, we have divided into 3 parts. You will have 3 lectures from this system and 2 practice classes. And today, so let's repeat the Then today we are going to just repeat the lecture. Um, so as we talked before, classification of muscles. So human body has more than 600 muscles. Muscles perform many useful functions and they help us in doing everything in day-to-day life. Muscles are classified by 3 different methods based on different factors, depending upon the presence or absence of striations, depending upon the control, depending upon the situation. So depending upon the striations, depending upon the presence or absence of striations, the muscles are divided into 2 groups, striated muscles, non-striated muscles. Striated muscle is the muscle which has a large number of striations, transverse lines. Skeletal muscle and cardiac muscle belong to this category. Non-striated muscle is the muscle that doesn't have striations. It's also called plain muscle or smooth muscle. It's found in the wall of the visceral organs. Depending upon striations, striated and non-striated. Depending upon control, the muscles are classified into 2 types, voluntary muscle, involuntary muscle. Voluntary is the muscle that is controlled by the will. Skeletal muscles are the voluntary muscles. These muscles are innervated by somatic nerves. And involuntary muscle, the muscle that cannot be controlled by the will, is called involuntary muscle. Cardiac muscle and smooth muscle, they are involuntary. These muscles are innervated by autonomic nerves. Depending upon situation, the muscles are classified into 3 types: skeletal muscle, cardiac muscle, and smooth muscle. Skeletal muscle is situated in association with bones forming the skeletal system. The skeletal muscles form 40% to 50% of body mass and are voluntary and striated. These muscles are supplied by somatic nerves. Fibers of the skeletal muscles are arranged in parallel. In most of the skeletal muscles, muscle fibers are attached to tendons on either end. Skeletal muscles are anchored to the bones by the tendons. So, in most of the skeletal muscles, muscle fibers are attached to tendons on either end, and skeletal muscles are anchored to the bones by the tendons. So, cardiac muscle. Cardiac muscle forms the musculature of the heart. These muscles are striated and involuntary. Cardiac muscles are supplied by autonomic nerve fibers. Smooth muscle is situated in association with viscera. It's also called visceral muscle. It's different from skeletal and cardiac muscles because of the absence of striations. Hence the name smooth muscle. Smooth muscle is supplied by autonomic nerve fibers. Smooth muscles form the main contractile units of all of the various visceral organs. So features of skeletal, cardiac, and smooth muscle fibers. So I'm giving you time to look properly and look at the difference between these muscles, skeletal, cardiac, and smooth muscle. So as we said, in smooth muscle, there are no prostrations. There are no myofibrils, sarcomere, troponin. Okay. The next one. The trigger of contraction, calcium binds with and as you remember, source of calcium, we said that sarcoplasmic reticulum L tubules, they store the calcium, yes? So sarcoplasmic reticulum is L tubules. And the control of skeletal muscle neurogenic, and the cardiac muscle is myogenic, and in smooth muscle neurogenic and myogenic. Nerve supply without somatic nerves, and the two cardiac and the smooth, they are innervated by autonomic nerves. And speed of contraction in skeletal muscle fast, in cardiac intermediate, and in smooth muscle slow. Structure of skeletal muscle. So muscle mass or muscle tissue is made up of a large number of individual muscle cells or myocytes. The muscle cells are commonly called muscle fibers because these cells are long and slender in appearance. Skeletal muscle fibers are multi-nucleated and are arranged parallel to one another with some connective tissue in between. So, these cells are commonly called muscle fibers because these cells are long and slender in appearance, and they are multinucleated and arranged parallel to one another with some connective tissue in between. Muscle mass is separated from the neighboring tissue by a thick fibrous tissue layer known as fascia. Muscle mass is separated from the neighboring tissue by a thick fibrous tissue layer known as fascia. Beneath the fascia, muscle is covered by a connective tissue. Sheaths call it epimysium. Connective tissue sheaths call it epimysium. In the muscle, so let's repeat. Beneath the fascia, muscle is covered by a connective tissue sheaths call it epimysium. In the muscle fibers are arranged in various groups called bundles of fasciculae. Connective tissue sheath that covers each fasciculus is called perimysium. Each muscle fiber is covered by a connective tissue layer called the endomysium. So muscle mass is separated from the neighboring tissue by a thick fibrous tissue layer known as fascia. Beneath the fascia, the muscle is covered by connective tissue, by epimysium. In the muscle fibers are arranged in various groups called bundles of fasciculi. And connective tissue sheath that covers each fasciculus is called perimysium. Each muscle fiber is covered by the connective tissue layer called the endomysium. So connected by tendon. This layer is epimysium, perimysium, endomysium, and fascicle, wrapped by epimysium. And muscle fiber, muscle cell. Muscle fiber, each muscle cell is cylindrical in shape. Average length of the fiber is 3 centimeters. Muscle fiber, muscle cell. Their length is 3 centimeter. No, but it can varies between 1 centimeter and 4 centimeter, depending upon the length of the muscle. The diameter of the muscle fiber varies from 10 micron to 100. Muscle fibers are attached to a tough part of connective tissue called tendon. Tendon is in turn attached to the bone. Tendon of some muscles is thin, flat, and stretched, but tough. Such type of tendon is called aponeurosis. So thin, flat, and stretched, but tough. And such type of tendon is called aponeurosis. Each muscle fiber is enclosed by a cell membrane called plasma membrane. Each muscle fiber is enclosed by a cell membrane called plasma membrane that lies beneath the endomysium. It's also called sarcolemma. Cytoplasm of the muscle is known as sarcoplasm. So here is sarcolemma, and these are sarcoplasm. So each fascicle covered by perimysium. And this is the muscle fiber as we thought. And after then there goes also myofibril. And in each fascicle, there are somatic motor neuron and blood capillary. And here is nucleus. And this is a muscle fiber. And this is the striations. And this is the sarcoplasm and sarcolemma. This we called myofibril, and these are filaments. And this is the of one fasticle. You can see fasticles. Yes. Okay. So this part we talked about, and this is the muscle fiber we told. This is the cover sarcolemma, satellite cell. This is called plasmalemma, and as we told in lecture, here are T tubules. This is a nucleus with the mitochondrion, and here are myofibril. Yes, one more picture. Okay. Structure embedded with the sarcoplasm are nuclei, myofibril, Golgi apparatus, mitochondria, sarcoplasmic reticulum, ribosomes, glycogen droplets, occasional lipid droplets. Each muscle fiber has got one or more nuclei. In long muscle fibers, many nuclei are seen. Nuclei are oval or elongated and situated just beneath the sarcolemma. Usually in other cells, the nucleus is in the interior of the cell. All the organelles of muscle fiber have the same functions as those of the other cells. So, in sarcoplasm are nuclei, myofibril, so we have Golgi apparatus, mitochondria, sarcoplasmic reticulum, ribosomes, glycogen droplets, and occasional lipid droplets. And all these organelles have the same functions as those of the other cells. Myofibril. So we are going to talk about this part, myofibril. Are the fine parallel filaments present in sarcoplasm of the muscle cell. Myofibrils run through the entire length of the muscle fiber. In the cross-section of a muscle fiber, the myofibrils appear like small distinct dots within the sarcoplasm. Diameter of the myofibril is 0.2 to 2 microns. The length of a myofibril varies between 1 centimeter and 4 centimeter, depending upon the length of the muscle fiber. In some muscle fibers, some of the myofibrils are arranged in groups called confines areas or fields. Okay, so if we talk about the microscopic structure of a myofibril, so the studies show that in myofibril, so each myofibril consists of a number of 2 alternating bands, which are also called the sections, segments, or discs. These bands are formed by muscle proteins. The 2 bands are light band or I band, dark band or A band. Dark band, A band, and the light band, I band. And here we said that sarcolemma with sarcoplasm and myofibril continuous. So, in the line that divides the A band is Z line, and between the A band we have H zone, and we will talk about below. So, light band or I band is called because it is isotropic to polarized light. When polarized light is passed through the muscle fiber at this area, light rays are refracted at the same angle. Dark band or A band. A is for anisotropic because it's anisotropic. So anisotropic, why? Because it's when polarized light is passed through the muscle fiber at this area, the light rays are refracted at different directions. N means not, is it, and Frost turning. Dark band is also called Q disk. So Querscheibe, cross disk from German. In an intact muscle fiber, I band and A band of the adjacent myofibrils are placed side by side. It gives the appearance of characteristic cross striations in the muscle fiber. I band is divided into two portions by means of a narrow and dark line called Z line. I band is divided two portions by means of narrow and dark line called Z line. So this line that divides into two portions called Z line. Z means that disk in German, Zwillenscheibe, between disk. The Z line is formed by a protein disk which doesn't permit passage of light. The portion of myofibril in between two Z lines is called sarcomere. The portion of myofibril in between two Z lines, in between two Z lines, called sarcomere. Sarcomere is defined as a structural and functional unit of a skeletal muscle. It's also called the basic contractile unit of the muscle extent. Each sarcomere extends between two Z lines of myofibril. Thus, each myofibril contains many sarcomeres arranged in series throughout its length. When the muscle is in relaxed state, the average length of each sarcomere is 2 to 3 microns. So guys, I hope that this stands for micron. Maybe I'm giving you so I have fixed in my mind that this is a micron, but I'm not proper and I'm not confident, so that's why I look at, okay. So average length of each sarcomere is 2 to 3. So between Z lines, this is called sarcomere, and the length of this sarcomere is 2 to 3 microns. Components. Each myofibril consists of an alternate dark A band and yes, we said about this. In the middle of A band, there is a light called H zone, hell in German, light. And because of the discoverer's name, Hansen. In the middle of H zone lies the middle part of myosin filament. This is called M line, in German middle. M line is formed by myosin binding proteins. So here we don't have M line, but let's have a look to the H zone. And in the middle of the H zone lies the middle part of myosin filament. So we can say that in the middle, so in the middle of the H zone, or maybe here, so in the middle of H zone lies the middle part of myosin filament, we said, and M line is formed by myosin binding proteins. Electron microscopic study of sarcomere. Electron microscopic studies reveal that the sarcomere consists of many thread-like structures called myofilaments. Myofilaments are of two types, actin filaments and myosin filaments. So this is the Z line, and here are actin filaments and myosin filaments, and this middle of the H zone we said that M filaments, yes, or M line. Myosin filaments are formed by myosin molecules. Actin filaments are formed by three types of proteins called actin, tropomyosin, and troponin. So myosin filaments are formed by myosin molecules, and actin filaments are formed by three types of proteins called actin, tropomyosin, and troponin. So here in actin filaments, we have here actin, tropomyosin, and troponin. These four proteins together constitute the contractile proteins of the contractile elements of the muscle, or the contractile elements of the muscle. Myosin molecule. Each myosin filament consists of about 200 myosin molecules. So about 18 classes of myosin are identified. Only myosin 2 is present in the sarcomere. So in the sarcomere, there are only myosin 2, and 200 myosin molecules are myosin 2. But in general, there are 18 classes of myosin are identified. Now, myosin 2 is a globulin with a molecular weight of 480,000. Each myosin molecule is made up of 6 polypeptide chains. Of which 2 are heavy chains and 4 are light chains. Each myosin molecule is made up of 6 polypeptide chains, of which 2 are heavy chains and 4 are light chains. Portions of myosin molecule. Each myosin molecule has 2 portions, tail portion and head portion. Tail portion is made up of 2 heavy chains, which twist around each other in the form of a double helix. So in the tail, there is like a double, so 2 heavy chains, and it looks like double helix. And in the head, there are light chain, 4 light chain, we said, yes? 1, 2, 3, 4. That portion of myosin molecule at one end of the double helix was the heavy chains turn away the opposite directions and form the globular head portion. Thus, the head portion has 2 parts. 2 light chains are attached to each part of the head portion of myosin molecule. So, to each heavy chain, there are 2 light chains. And here also, to one heavy chain, there are 2 light chains. And in the head part, there are 2 portions. Yes. So 2 light chains are attached to each part of the head portion of myosin molecule. So here is myosin head, actin binding site, and here is ATP, adenosine triphosphate. So this is the myosin head, and heavy chains go to the end. These heavy chains divide, and the 2 light chains attach them. Actin molecule. Actin molecules are the major constituents of the same actin filaments. Each actin molecule is called F-actin, and it's the polymer of a small protein known as G-actin. There are about 300 to 400 actin molecules in each actin filament. The molecular weight of each molecule is 42,000. The actin molecules in the actin filament are also arranged in the form of a double helix. Okay, and each F-actin molecule has an active site to which the myosin head is attached. So each F-actin molecule has an active site to which the myosin head is attached. So myosin head is attached to F-actin binding site. So here the actin binding site, and the next is F-actin, yes. So with this actin binding site, the head attached to the F-actin. Tropomyosin. About 40 to 60 tropomyosin molecules are situated along the double helix strand of actin filament. So tropomyosin, about 40 to 60 tropomyosin molecules. They are situated along the double helix strand of actin filament. They are situated along the double helix strand. Yes. So this is a tropomyosin. And each tropomyosin molecule has the molecular weight of 70,000. In a relaxed condition of the muscle, the tropomyosin molecules cover all the active sites of F-actin molecules. So here is actin, here is tropomyosin. And myosin fat attaches to the actin binding site, yes, to F-actin. And this is a light chain we talked about. So here is myosin fiber, and here goes double helix with the heavy chain, goes to the light chain, then goes to, they divide it into two parts, and the light chain attaches the one heavy chain, and this myosin heads attached to F-actin by actin binding site. Troponin, it's formed by the three subunits, troponin I, which is attached to F-actin, troponin I, which attached to F-actin, and troponin T, which is attached to tropomyosin. Troponin T attached to tropomyosin. And troponin C, which attaches to calcium ions. So troponin C is attached to calcium ions. Other proteins, as we told, and there are in sarcomere also 5 other proteins. Actinin, which attaches actin filament to Z line. Desmin, which binds Z line with sarcolemma. Nebulin, which runs in close association with and parallel to actin filaments. 18, a large protein connecting M line and Z line. Each 13 molecule forms scaffolding for sarcomere and provides elasticity to the muscle. So 13 provides elasticity to the muscle. When the muscle is stretched, the titin unfolds itself. However, if the stretching is more, it offers resistance and protects the sarcomere from overstretching. Dystrophin, a rod-shaped large protein that connects actin filament to the dystroglycan. Dystroglycan is a transmembrane protein present in the sarcolemma. Dystrophin and dystroglycan form dystroglycan or dystrophin glycoprotein complex. So myofibrils discovered by sarcolemma, sarcoplasmic reticulum, L tubules. The function is storing of calcium ions. T tubules here are, and here are, these are the cisterna, mitochondrion, I band and A band, and Z line that divides the I band into two portions. So Okay. And so we told about the skeletal muscle that it consists of 75% water and 25% solids, and 20% organic substances and 5% inorganic substances. Organic substances, they are proteins, and it's also divided into other organic substances. So proteins are myosin, actin, tropomyosin, troponin, actinin, desmin, nebulin, etin, myoglobin. And there also was dystrophin. Yes. And other organic substances, they are carbohydrates, glycogen, and phosphate, lipids, neutral fat, cholesterol, lecithin, and steroids. Nitrogenous substances, ATP, and adenylenic acid, and carnitine and carnitinuria, third one is creatine and phosphocreatine, urea and uric acid, xanthine and hypoxanthine. And inorganic substances, they are potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, chloride, phosphate, sulfate, and potassium is the principal mineral in the muscle. So, sarcotubular system is a system of membranous structures in the form of vesicles and tubules in the sarcoplasm of the muscle fiber. So, this is a system of membranous structures in the form of vesicles and tubules in the sarcoplasm of the muscle fiber. It surrounds the myofibrils embedded in the sarcoplasm. Structure of sarcotubular system. This system is formed mainly by two types of structures, T tubules, L tubules, or also we call sarcoplasmic reticulum. So T tubules. These T tubules, these ones. Now, or transverse tubules are narrow tubules formed by the invagination of sarcolemma. These tubules penetrate all the way from one side of the muscle fiber to another side. And that is, these tubules penetrate the muscle cells through and through. Okay. And because of their origin from sarcolemma, the T tubules open to the exterior of the muscle cell. Therefore, the ACP runs through their lumen. Okay. And L tubules, these tubules also called longitudinal. L stands for longitudinal and T stands for transverse, yes? Longitudinal tubules are the closed tubules that run in long axis of the muscle fiber, forming sarcoplasmic reticulum. These tubules form a closed tubular system around each myofibril and don't open to exterior like T tubules. These tubules form a closed tubular system around each myofibril and don't open to exterior like T tubules. L tubules correspond to the endoplasmic reticulum of other cells. At regular intervals throughout the length of the myofibrils, the L tubules dilate to form a pair of lateral sacs called terminal cisternae. So at regular intervals throughout the length of the myofibrils, the L tubules dilate to form a pair of lateral sacs called terminal cisternae. Okay, you can see here cisternae. Each pair of terminal cisterna is in close contact with T-tubules. Close contact with T-tubules. And the T-tubule along with the cisterna on either side is called the triad of skeletal muscle. In human skeletal muscle, the triads are situated at the junction between A band and I band. Calcium ions are stored in L tubule, and the amount of calcium ions is more in cisterna. So L tubule, the place of storing of calcium ions, and the amount of calcium ions is more in cisterna. So in cisterna, we have the more amount of calcium ions. Functions of circuitubular system. These two tubules, T-tubules, are responsible for rapid transmission of impulse in the form of action potential from sarcolemma to the myofibrils. When muscle is stimulated, the action potential develops in sarcolemma and spreads through it. Since T-tubules are the continuation of sarcolemma, the action potential passes through them and reaches the interior of the muscle fiber rapidly. The T-tubules, they are responsible for rapid transmission of impulse in the form of action potential from sarcolemma to the myofibrils. When muscle is stimulated, the action potential develops in sarcolemma and spreads through it. Since T-tubules are the continuation of sarcolemma, the action potential passes through them and reaches the interior of the muscle fiber rapidly. And function of L tubules, longitudinal tubules, or sarcoplasmic reticulum. They store a large quantity of calcium ions. When action potential reaches the cisterna of L tubule, the calcium ions are released into the sarcoplasm. Calcium ions trigger the processes involved in contraction of the muscle. The process by which the calcium ions cause contraction of muscle is called excitation-contraction coupling. So calcium ions, they trigger the processes involved in contraction of the muscle. The process by which the calcium ions cause contraction of muscle is called excitation-contraction coupling. Composition. Composition of muscle. Skeletal muscle, so we talked about this, yes, and 20% of proteins and 5% of organic substances. Among the proteins, the first 8 proteins are already described. Okay, and myoglobin is present in cytoplasm. So it's also called myohemoglobin. Its function is similar to that of hemoglobin that is to carry oxygen. It's a conjugated protein with a molecular weight of 70,000. So guys, let's have a 10 minutes break. And after, we will continue with the properties of muscle. So now you can go to the 10-minute break, and after 10 minutes, we will meet again.
Ma'am, it's enough for today.
Sorry? I didn't understand. Can you repeat? You were asking about the living, can we leave the class, but we have 18 minutes. So let's continue with the properties of the skeletal system. Properties of muscles. So first one is excitability. It is defined as a reaction or response of the tissue to irritation or stimulation. It's a physiochemical change. So excitability is defined as a reaction or a tissue to irritation or stimulation. It's a physicochemical change. Stimulus is the change in environment. It's defined as an agent or influence or act which causes the response in an excitable tissue. So stimulus is the change in environment. It's defined as an agent or influence or act which causes the reaction in an excitable tissue. Types of stimulus. Stimuli which can excite the tissue are 4 types: mechanical stimulus, pinching; electrical stimulus, electric shock; thermal stimulus; chemical stimulus, applying chemical substances like acids; and electrical stimulus is commonly used for experimental purposes because of the following reasons. It can be handled easily. Intensity of stimulus can be easily adjusted. Duration of stimulus can be easily adjusted, and stimulus can be applied to a limited area of on the tissues. And damage caused to tissues is nil or least. Qualitative stimulus. To excite a tissue, the stimulus must possess 2 characters: intensity or strength and duration. Intensity or strength of a stimulus is of 5 types: subminimal stimulus, minimal stimulus, submaximal stimulus, maximal stimulus, and supramaximal stimulus. Stimulus whose voltage is sufficient to excite the tissue is called threshold or liminal or minimal stimulus. Other details are given under the heading. So, okay, the part factors affecting the affecting force of contraction. The more details are given. And second one is duration. So whatever may be the strength of the stimulus, it must be applied for a minimum duration to excite the tissue. However, the duration of a stimulus depends upon the strength of the stimulus. For a weak stimulus, the duration is longer, and for stronger stimulus, the duration is shorter. The relationship between the strength and duration of stimulus is demonstrated by means of excitability curve or strength duration curve. Okay. Excitability curve or strength duration curve is a graph that demonstrates the exact relationship between the strength and the duration of a stimulus. So it's also called the strength duration curve. Strength duration curve by Lapik. In this curve, the strength of the stimulus is plotted vertically and the duration in milliseconds horizontally. The strength we measure in volts and the duration in milliseconds. To start with, a stimulus with higher strength or voltage 4 or 5 is applied. The minimum duration taken by the stimulus with particular strength to excite the tissue is noted. The strength and duration are plotted in the graph. Then the strength of the stimulus is decreased and the duration is determined. Like this, the voltage is decreased gradually and the duration is determined every time. All the results are plotted and curve is obtained. Okay. The minimum time at which the neural base can use excitation of tissue called the useful time or utilization time is And the least useful time inherent in the peripheral somatic nervous system and skeletal muscle. And Lapik introduced the concept of physiological science, chronoxy, and continued use as a unit of the threshold of the stimulation doesn't force and the time of stimulation. Determination of the useful time or utilization time is difficult in practice, so the study of chronoxy has been used in practice. So here we can see a real base. Strengths in 1 volt appears in 0.2 seconds. And this called real base. And this called utilization time or useful time, and T is chronoxy. So this is a in 2 volts, the reaction occurs on 0.1 seconds. Milliseconds. Okay. So we talked about the real base utilization time. Real base is the minimum strength of stimulus which can excite the tissue. Utilization time is the time minimum time required for real basic strength of stimulus to excite the tissue. And chronoxy is the minimum time required for a stimulus with double the real basic strength to excite the tissue. Okay. Importance of chronoxy. Measurement of chronoxy determines the excitability of the tissues. It's used to compare the excitability in different tissues. So longer the chronoxy, lesser is the excitability. Normal chronoxy in human skeletal muscle is 0.08 to 0.32 milliseconds. Variations in chronoxy. Chronoxy is 10 times more in skeletal muscles of infants than in the skeletal muscle of adults. Okay. Chronoxy 10 times more in skeletal muscle of infants than in the skeletal muscle of adults. Shorter in red muscles than in pale muscles. Shorter in warm-blooded animals than in cold-blooded animals. Shortened during increased temperature and prolonged during cold temperature. And longer in paralyzed muscles than in normal muscle. And prolonged gradually during progressive neural disease. Okay. Contractility. Contractility is a response of the muscle, the reaction of the muscle to a stimulus. Contraction is defined as internal events of muscle with change in either length or tension of the muscle fibers. Types of contraction is classified into two types. So these 2 types based on change in the length of muscle fibers or tension of muscles of the muscle. We differentiate the isotonic contraction and isometric contraction. Isotonic contraction is a type of muscular contraction in which the tension remains the same and the length of the muscle fiber is altered. Simple flexion of arm, where shortening of muscle fibers occurs but tension doesn't change. And isometric contraction. It's a type of muscular contraction in which the length of muscle fibers remains the same and the tension is increased. Pulling any heavy object when muscle becomes stiff and strained with increased tension, but the length doesn't change. Okay. Simple muscle contraction. The contractile property of the muscle is studied by using gastrocnemius preparation from Falk. It's also called muscle nerve preparation. When the stimulus with threshold strength is applied, the muscle contracts and then relaxes. These activities are recorded graphically by using suitable instruments. The contraction is recorded as upward deflection from the baseline, and relaxation is recorded as downward deflection back to the baseline. Simple contraction of the muscle is called simple muscle twitch, and the graphical recording of this is called simple muscle curve. Okay, here is simple muscle curve. Important points in the simple muscle curve. 4 points are to be observed in simple muscle curve. Point of stimulus. This is the time when the stimulus is applied. Point of contraction. Time when muscle begins to contract. Point of maximum contraction. Where the muscle contracts, the point up to which the muscle contracts. And it also indicates the beginning of relaxation of the muscle. And the 4 is the point of maximum relaxation, the point when the muscle relaxes completely. Point of stimulus, point of contraction, point of maximum contraction, point of maximum relaxation. And between them, we have here latent period, contraction period, and relaxation period. So, latent period is the time interval between the point of stimulus and point of contraction. The muscle doesn't show any mechanical activity during this period. Contraction period is the interval between point of contraction and point of maximum contraction. Muscle contracts during this period. The latent period, so it's the period, the measurement of this period is 0.01 second. Then contraction period 0.04 second. And third one is relaxation period, is the interval between point of maximum contraction and point of maximum relaxation. 0.05 seconds. And total twitch period is 0.10 seconds. Contraction period is always shorter than relaxation period. It's because the contraction is an active process and relaxation is a passive process. Okay. So we'll read about the latent period, the colors at home, and a little bit about the contraction time, red muscle and pale muscle. Contraction time or total twitch period varies from the rise from species to species. It's less in homeothermic animals than in poikilothermic animals. In the same animal, it varies in different groups of muscles. Based on contraction time, the skeletal muscles are classified into 2 types based on contraction time. The skeletal muscles are classified into 2 types, red muscles and pale muscles. Red muscles, which contain large quantity of myoglobin, are called red muscles. So they are. They contain large quantity of myoglobin. These muscles are also called slow muscles or slow twitch muscles. Red muscles have a large number of type 1 fibers. The contraction time is lower in this type of muscles. For example, back muscles and gastrocnemius muscles, and pale muscles. Muscles which contain less quantity of myoglobin are called pale muscles or white muscles. These muscles are also called fast muscles or fast twitch muscles. Pale muscles have large number of type 2 fibers. Red muscles type 1 and pale muscles type 2. Contraction time is shorter in this type of muscles. Examples, head muscles and ocular muscles. Okay. So factors affecting force of contraction. So about the properties of muscles, we will talk about in the next lecture also. And till these topics, please have a look and make notes, and please study for yourself at home. And the next practice class, I hope that you will be prepared. I will write tasks on Moodle, and the next turn will be yours, and I will listen for you. Okay. And the participants, I can see that Amrat Haq is here. Farzana Nasir is here. I see Muhammad also here. Tabassum Asma here. Ali Haidar Khan here. I see Iqbal here. And there was also Muhammad Zishan, but it's not, he's not here right now. Do you know why, guys? So the break he was with us, but after the break, no. Okay. So we are going to the end of the practice class. So next time, please, guys, look at the schedule earlier and be prepared. Okay. Even this is the first topic, and the things you must know. And I hope that you have the list of topics from normal physiology. So, okay, guys, till the next time. The lecture I have sent it to Farzana Nasir. And also, I have uploaded it to the Moodle. You can also download from the Moodle. And I will write tasks there, okay? Till the next time, have a good day. Good luck, guys. So now you can leave class and I will end it. Okay, see you guys.
Okay, ma'am.
Bye bye.
Goodbye, ma'am.
Mm.